Good afternoon, everybody. Can we all start the webinar soon? Okay, very good afternoon. I'm Sawadika from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand. You're very welcome to the event, Social Implementation of Research on the Environmental Management at Japanese Subsidiaries in Thailand. This is a collaboration between industry, academia, and the government. Firstly, on this event is aimed to present some of the findings of the Kyoto University's PhD candidate, Mr. Hirata's research on the environmental management of Japanese subsidiaries in Thailand, and to discuss about this topic with participants from academia, industry, Thai government, and international organizations. We are very, very grateful for the distinguished speakers from the Thailand Board of Investment, Daikin Industries, Global Compact Network Thailand. Also, this event was supported by the Faculty of Economics, Chulalongkorn University. We deeply appreciate their support on this event. Today, for the coming 2 hours, there will be some presentations, and after the presentation, we will have some time to take questions afterwards. For the online participant, you can type your questions and answers in the Q&A box at any time. So feel free to make this event interactive. So if you have no further questions, shall we just start the presentations now? Okay, then let us welcome the first presenter, Mr. Ryo Hirata. He's a PhD candidate at the Kyoto University, and his presentation titled Environmental Management at Japanese Subsidiaries in Thailand. Please welcome Mr. Hirata.
Thank you very much for coming today. So my name is Ryo Hirata. Yes, my presentation is the 50 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. So due to the time limitation, I will skip the explain more detail, but I would like to present about my research result. Then my research concern is the environmental management at the Japanese subsidiary in Thailand. More specifically, so I focused on the ISO 14001, which is the one of the international standard for the environmental management. So let me start about my presentation. So this slide shows that my research overviews. Yeah, and then big research question is why does the company adopt the ISO 14001 in Thailand? Basically, the environmental management have more cost to do so. So the company is not really unwilling to conduct environmental management. However, currently, some company try to conduct the environmental management. Then in my research, from the 2 aspects, first one is the parent company aspect. The second one is the local factors. Parent company factor means one of the corporate governance issues and the corporate reputations. Then second one, the local factor means the local pressures, the local environmental regulation, and so on. Then, yeah, as I said before, the main question is why does the Japanese company in Thailand conduct the environmental management and acquire the ISO 14001, even though they have a lot of cost. Then background theory is based on the agency theory and the stakeholder theory. Then, yeah, these theories have a long, very long time history. But yeah, first one is the asymmetry of the manager and the shareholders. Then stakeholder theory means, yeah, to be short, yeah, the pressure by the stakeholders. Then, yeah, background of the ISO 14001. So say again, the ISO 14001 is the international standard that set out the requirement for environmental management system. Then main characteristic is to the PDCA cycle, the plan, do, check, and action, and then planning again for the environment. The second feature is the audit by the third party by every 3 years. So in the context of the ASEAN and in Thailand, so this figure shows that the number of the ISO certification within compared to the ASEAN countries, then the gray graph is the Thailand. So Thailand is the top share, top country within the ASEAN countries. And then now Malaysia and Indonesia and Vietnam is booming now. So yeah, this this slide shows that the literature review about the factor of the adaptation of ISO 14001. So to be short, so there are two factors. First one is external factors. Then second one is internal factors. So maybe external factor is easy to understand for us. So there's some pressures or regulations from the outside of the company. Then internal means the resources within the country, within the companies, and the firm size, and the board manager's attitude, and so on. The second one is the parent company and the subsidiary companies, the relationship. The parent company is willing to control the overseas subsidiaries as much as possible, because some risk management and the group governance and so on. So I focused on the ties between the parent company and the subsidiary. So in my research, I focused on the corporate governance and ISO adaptation. So basically, so in the developed country, in Japan and European countries, so the board diversity and the board independence is the positive relationship to environmental actions, because independent director is not related to the short-term, so independent director is not willing to not only the short-term benefit, but also long-term benefit and the long-term view. So I try to expand to in this case. The second one is the parent company and the subsidiaries, ties, the relationship as a proxy of the voting rights between the parent company and the subsidiary. Yeah, this is my very simple logistic regressions analysis from here. So I collecting data around 117 subsidiary in Thailand, which whose parent company is in Japan. And then the time series from 2017 to 2020. Then target company, target industry is rubber industry, machinery, and the process machinery. Then I collected data from some financial disclosure and the security reports. Well, this is a result of the heuristic regressions. So to be short, the voting rights is a very positive relationship to ISO adaptation in Thailand. And in addition to that, the size of the parent company, the big company, more bigger company, so the subsidiary is getting ISO more and more. And the long business history is also one of the factors from this regression model. Then, yeah, this one is the checking the result again. So one conclusion is the parent companies and the subsidiary relationship via voting rights is key factors to getting ISO in Thailand case. And the length of the parent company's business history and the parent size as also factors. Then, yeah, so I explain about the left side arrows, and then from now I explain the right side. So what is the local factors, factors? So I conducted the question survey for the 398 Japanese subsidiaries in Thailand, and then received the replies from 97 companies. So which conducted from September 2022 to December 2022. Then the target industry is the chemical, rubber, steel, metal, machinery, electronics, and the process machinery. And then 75.3% of the respondents have ISO 14001. Then right side shows that how long the company have a ISO. So maybe less than 5 years company maybe around 25%, more than 25%, and then on the other side more than 20 years some company have ISO. So this is the summary of the motivation to acquire the ISO certification. The top motivation is the global initiatives such as the SDGs and the ESG investment. Then second one is the local factors that pressured by the customers. Then third one is the pressure from the parent company. So as a shareholder, so this result is how to say the consistency. The previous my research. Then this figure shows that the advantage to acquire the ISO certifications. Top advantage is the local competitiveness in the local market. Then second one is the local customers, and then third one is efficiency within the company's management. So the ISO is one of the aspect of the management. So yeah, this result is the consistency between them. Then on the other side, what is the barrier to acquire ISO? So the top one is the cost. So it takes a lot of cost for checking and for the management and so on. Then last one is what is the important things to implement the ISO 14001? The top one is the training for the employees. So maybe it is a Thailand context, so it's difficult to how to teach and how to manage the Thai employees, yeah, between the manager side and the employee sides. Then last figure shows that yeah, this answer come from not ISO company. Then why do you why did not acquire the ISO? So top response is my company is very small, so it's not necessary to acquire this certification. And so conclusion. So at the first research, so higher direct voting rights and large parent company size and longer parent company's history leads to the ISO adaptation of the Japanese subsidiary in Thailand. So which is the corporate governance side. Then from the local side, environmental regulations and the global trends such as SDGs and the pressures from the Thai customers. So Thai customers means the Thai company and the Thai individuals. Then the cost are the most potential barriers to acquire the ISO. And then so many small company, for example, not have big factories as well. So many small companies are unwilling to acquire the ISO 14001. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, Hirata-san. So if the speakers are from Thailand Board of Investment is ready, it's a great honor to welcome the speakers, Mr. Thamrong Amporatana, Senior Investment Promotion Officer, Division 1, and also his colleague, Mr. Wasapon Yomsaki, Investment Promotion Officer from Division 3. They're gonna make a joint presentation representing the Thai side. If you feel ready, please share your screen and the floor is yours, Mr. Thamrong.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thamrong Ampornrat. I'm Senior Investment Promotion Officer in charge of the agricultural and food sector. I'm from Office of the Board of Investment. And today, I'm very pleased to present the topic of sustainable investment policy and incentives under the new investment promotion strategy. I would like to present in three parts. Firstly, I would like to talk about the BCG model with Sustainable Development Goals. The slide is show Thailand's long-term and carbon neutrality. Thailand also acknowledged the importance of global sustainability issues. Thailand is willing to be more aggressive in addressing climate change and will strive to reach carbon neutrality by 2050 with net zero emissions on or before 2065. In addition, Thailand plans to reach this aspirational goal through the National Energy Plan 2022, together with focusing more on innovations and becoming a greener economy to achieve improved gains. And the concept of the BCG model has been developed worldwide to commit the sustainable development goals. As we have to grow along with the environment, the three pillars have been designed. The first one is the bioeconomy, which involves the productions of renewable biological resources and the conversion of these resources into value-added products. The second is green economy, which mainly concerns activities that have a less negative impact on society and our environment. And the third is circular economy, aiming to reuse and recycle resources. The BCG model aims to generate a total value of 4.4 trillion baht over the next 6 years, which will account for 24% of the country's GDP. This will allow Thailand to achieve its long-term goals of economic growth with sustainability. Additional growth from the government include the reduction of greenhouse gas by 22 to 25% by 2030, carbon neutrality by 2050, and net zero carbon emission by 2065. From the second part, I would like to present BOI, investment promotion strategies and incentive that just launched in January this year. The important objectives are to enhance the country's competitiveness and achieve sustainable development in the long run. As you know, Thailand Board of Investment or BOI under the Office of the Prime Minister. Our core business is to promote investment, both investment into Thailand and Thai overseas investment. We provide tax incentives such as corporate income tax exemption and reduction, together with the exemption of import duties on machineries and raw materials. Also, the non-tax incentives such as the permission to own land and visa and work permit. The BOI investment promotion strategies also set out to promote investment to restructure the country's economy and build a new economy, allow three core with three characteristics: being innovative, to develop biotechnology, innovation, and creativity, and being competitive, to be highly competitive, resilient with high growth, and being inclusive, to promote environmental and social sustainability. To create a new economy in the next 5 years, the BOI has set 7 pillars of strategy. The second pillar, one of the pillars, is to accelerate transition to smart and sustainable industry. And we have 3 tools that help drive these 7 pillars: whole package incentive, including tax, non-tax, and financial support, one-stop and end-to-end services, and ecosystem and ease of investment. In terms of our role, BOI takes on additional roles as an integrator who works with other government agencies, a facilitator who makes it easier for companies to do business, and facilitator, and a connector who links large scale with small scale business to create business opportunities for all. And we have launched 9 measures for the investment promotion. For this time, I would like to present the measures for sustainable industrial program, supporting business toward smart and sustainable industries for the upgrade of the existing business in reducing environmental impact. And you can see on the measure number 6, Smart and Sustainable Industrial Upgrade Program. And absolutely for the first pillar strategy, we focus on restructuring the industry. We aim to upgrade conventional industry to higher margin industry with technologies and innovation. An example is our push for the transition from conventional agriculture to smart farming or plant factory. For the one example is the conventional energy to renewable energy and new source energy such as energy from the hydrogen. Also, we plan to develop new industry to further our growth. As you can see on the right hand side, we have target the 5 priority industry for investment promotion in the next couple of years. This is the new BOI investment incentive scheme. The investment promotion measures for target industry and the principal measure that establish general criteria, a list of investment promotion activities and standard incentives based on the business activities. The standard incentive that you can see on the left side will be granted for activity that have an impact on the country's economy, while additional merit-based incentive can be obtained in order to promote economic development. So investor may be granted up to 13 years of CAT exemption and will get further deduction or exemption of CAT from the merit-based incentive and agenda-based incentive. For the area-based incentive will be granted to projects that are located in designated zones such as EEC, Eastern Economic Corridor, SEZ, or Science and Technology Parks. This is the following the investment promotion strategy, both policy and criteria, as well as the list of BOI promoted activity. We separate by 10 section of activity are eligible for promotion. This is the criteria for project approval. The Office of the Board of Investment has announced the policies and criteria for investment promotion, and the environmental protection is the one criteria. So, and promoted project must comply with the related environmental laws and regulations or cabinet legislation. Adequate and efficient guidelines and measures to protect environmental quality and to reduce environmental impact must be installed on the promoted project. And for the one criteria that is important to project that have investment capital of 10 million baht or more, excluding cost of land and working capital, must obtain ISO 9000 or ISO 14000. This is the incentive, tax incentive and non-tax incentive that BOI provide. The example for the tax incentive is the corporate income tax exemption. We call corporate income tax briefly in CIT. CIT exemption up to 13 years. And for the example of non-tax incentives, such as 100% foreign ownership, land ownership license, work permit, and visa facilitation. And for the incentive classification, we classify the incentive on each activity based on the technology level, the complexity of the manufacturing process, value added low in the supply chain, and strategic importance to the country. For BOI basic incentive package, we classify the incentive into 2 main groups. Group A will get the CIT exemption, and Group B will not get the CIT exemption. in terms of eligible activity that BUI promoted relate to the BCG model. BUI incentive help reducing the environmental impact in line with BCG model. As you know, Thailand is well positioned to become a global investment destination for BCG, thanks to our robust agricultural activities, rich natural resources, advancing biotechnology, distinctive service, service sector, and concrete government. We we incentivize business to engage in bio-circular green activity that have a low environmental impact. The first pillar is the bioeconomy, such as bioenergy, biotechnology, R&D, agriculture, agro-processing, and smart farming. The second pillar is the circular economy, which is an economic system of closed loop in which raw materials, components, and products lose their value as little as possible. WI also offer a high incentive for whereas circular economy activities such as electricity generation from renewable energy, waste management, and recycling. The final pillar, which is the green economy, is focusing on creating sustainability and minimizing greenhouse gas emission. We promote every kind of green energy and eco-friendly product and eco-friendly technology. The BUI has made some adjustment to grant higher tax incentives for eco-friendly manufacturing process, such as encouraging businesses to implement carbon capture utilization and storage. Such as CCUS technology and natural refrigerant. And this is the overall pictures for the example promoted activities of investment incentive for the BCG. And some example of BUI promoted project in novel food, and some example BUI promoted company in biotechnology and bioplastics. And there are many supporting institutions that are promoting BCG initiative and creating a common policy community. Lastly, I would like to say in enhancement measurement for smart and sustainable industry. To encourage Thai industry for development and reformation the industry to industry for and sustainability. BUI has announced efficiency enhancement measures for existing project into 5 measures. And the measure number 4 is an efficiency enhancement measures to improve the efficiency of energy conservation, alternative energy utilization, or environmental impact mitigation. And this measure is the dominant measure to reduce the environmental impact of existing projects and can apply to existing projects, whether BUI or non-BUI projects. And the activity must be eligible for investment promotion by the Board of Investment at the time of application. And for the incentive is the exemption of import duties on machineries and 3-year CIT exemption on the revenue of existing project with a cap equivalent to 50% of the investment capital. The project must be implement one of the scope, such as to reduce energy consumption, to utilize alternative energy, to mitigate the environmental impacts, such as polluted air, wastewater, and solid waste, and to reduce greenhouse gas emission, and must be registered, certified for the amount of greenhouse gas emissions by TGO. And another one of the measure is to improve the efficiency of upgrading the production line to acquire international sustainability certification. The incentive for the incentive is the same, and the project must be the investment or expenditures to upgrade the industry to acquire international sustainability certification. For example, GAP, Good Agricultural Practice, or FSC within 3 years from the date of promotion certificate issuance. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tamaron. It's we could understand very well under the BCG model, the Board of Investment promotion strategy and its incentives across different sectors. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. So without further ado, we'd like to move on to the next presentation by Mr. Yuki Kamioka. He's from CSR and Global Environment Center, Daikin Industries. And today for this presentation, he flew all the way from Osaka, but we welcome him at Chulalongkorn University on site. Please welcome Mr. Kamioka here.
All right, so for introduction, Ms. Saito. So I'm Yuki Kamioka from Daikin Industries. I'm honored to be here to represent industry from Daikin today. And thank you for this great opportunity. I'd like to thank you, Ms. Hirata, everyone from the staff for inviting me to this great event. Allow me to get started for my presentation. So first of all, I'd like to explain about getting in touch about what Daikin Industries, what our businesses look like. So this slide is showing how air conditioning works, which is Daikin's more biggest business product we are selling to the global. And also there's a components called refrigerant and how it works. So on the left side of this slide, this is showing very basic air conditioning. So there's a lot of people in this room from Thailand, I do see that. So I don't think I have to get in touch about air conditioning. However, maybe allow me to explain about how it works. So air conditioning system, there is like an indoor unit, outdoor unit, and there is a piping between those two units. Inside of this piping, there is a refrigerant gas that is transfer the heat between indoor and outdoor. Temperature is getting from the outdoor atmosphere and you bring into the cool heat into the air of the indoor. So this refrigerant gas is very important for the air conditioning system. Also, this is also very important for the global perspective, environment perspective. As you can see on the right side of the slide, there's a sunlight, there's a heat coming from sunlight and it absorbs the heat because this refrigerant or CO2 or such a green gas is like protecting the Earth right now. So some of the heat is emitted to the space, so it does keep the stable temperature condition for the Earth. However, if there's too many green gas, like refrigerant, emitted to the atmosphere, then it covers the Earth too much and it absorbs too much heat as well. So refrigerant choice is very important for environment. So I'd like to get in touch about our company, outline. So we are founded in 1924. It's almost like 100 years of history. We're expanding our production, 110 production site we have in global, and 172 company operating business. Our uniquest point of our company policy is people-centered management. We have 3.9 trillion yen of the product sales, and also percentage of the overseas sales, which is outside from Japan, is 80%. We have 95,000 employees, but outside of Japan is 85%. So it's like a Japanese company, but working globally right now. And we have comprehensive air conditioning manufacturer, and we are selling air conditioning as well as a refrigerant, as I explained. So this graph is showing our business portfolio. Air conditioning is 91.0%. So Daikin is a company, earning money from the selling air conditioning. However, there's a small portion still. We have a chemical division and making refrigerant or semiconductor parts or automotive applications as well. But air conditioning is our biggest portion of the sales. Next slide, I'd like to get in touch about global situation surrounding Daikin and its background. So there is lots of air conditioning used in global, and the cities grew using this air conditioning. So I'd like to give you some example how air conditioning support the people in the global. So first one, this slide, the invention of air conditioning was about 100 years already. Air conditioning changed the demographics of the United States. I'd like to give you two examples. the population of Houston grew about 16 times in 10 years. Previously, there was 60,000, but this expanded to 940,000 right now. And Las Vegas, as everybody may know, it has changed from desert to one of the world top entertainment city, and the air conditioning support people to live in such a desert or tropical region. So, former Singapore Prime Minister Yu said air conditioning was the most important invention for us, perhaps one of the signal invention of the history. So people in such a region need to know how air conditioning works and how it supports the people. And the air conditioning was invented so the cities could be designed to be inhabitable, both from the equator and in desert region. So at the bottom of the right corner of this slide, this is showing how population expand in such a region like South Africa or such a region. There's a huge population expansion. However, still only 8% of people own air conditioner. So Daikin's aims to give more affordable air conditioning to such a region, people living that, so that we can support the people. IEA, International Energy Agency, they have given very interesting report. Sustainable, affordable cooling can save the tens of thousands of lives each year. So Daikin want to be a part of that sustainable, ambitious goal so that we can help people by supplying good air conditioning. So worldwide, air conditioning stock the market is increasing right now. So compared to from now to 2015, IEA, they have also created very unique report called the Future of Cooling. This will increase the stock of air conditioning system triple from now. So energy demand will more than triple between now and 2015. So lots of electricity demand. Also, especially at the peak season, like hot summer or maybe cold winter, there is a lot of energy consumption may be required. So what it does result is, disaster in the global. So there's lots of, climate challenge we need to come up with. As you can see, from this map, there's, as you might remember, last month, there's a big forest fire in Canada and a lot of smoke came into New York City. I was living in Houston, United States several years ago. I was also affected by Hurricane Harvey and my apartment was flooded. I need to evacuate from boat, and then I had also cold wave in that season. I think that was 2 years later, but I have also experienced lots of disaster, natural disaster, and this was caused by global warming. That's what we think. So this is another interesting report from WMO. As you can see on the left side of slide, the refrigerant I have explained used for the air conditioning. If we emit too much without control, there's a huge increase, on the such refrigerant emission. But if there is risk control under a global treaty, there is a Kigali Amendment agreement between the countries so that people can minimize, such a emission to the atmosphere. If we achieve that, if you can see on the right side of the slide, under the control, there is a stable temperature rise. It is approximately 0.06 degrees Celsius, but no one didn't control and the people didn't care about emitting, refrigerant to the atmosphere. It may increase 0.3 to 0.5% degrees Celsius global temperature rise. So we are very cautious about this situation. So Daikin's challenge is to minimize this impact, but we also want to sell our products so that we can give some affordable and also support to the people in the world. So Daikin, we have pledged our June 2015. We have a commitment we have released on 2018, providing the healthy air, satisfying the air-related needs, such as safeguard against heat stroke, better work, better sleep in the world. Also, reduce CO2 emissions from our products through the entire life cycle in cooperation with stakeholders by using IoT, AI, and open innovation. So this is our pledge that we have released. So how do we do that? Daikin will achieve net zero CO2 zero by 2015. So now, as you can see on the left side, showing total greenhouse gas emission compared until 2015, there is a huge jump between now and 2050. So we have to be produce more efficient product and we have to work out solution, collaboration with others than HVAC, air conditioning sector. Also, even though we work very hard to minimize our emission, there is still remaining, since we are still working as a business, we have to produce a unit, we have to use more energy consumption in some case. There's a new concept that has been globally announced, avoided emission. I think lots of companies trying to follow this, but by using, from Daikin perspective, we want to use more like low GWP, such as R32 refrigerant. I'm going to explain details later. But recovery, recyclable, refrigerant, well, maybe forest conservation. So we want to minimize this gap, and we want to, I don't want to say offset, but we want to support energy emission, CO2 emission by doing such activity. So key issue in the past initiative. So we have established 2050 ambitious plan, and what we need to do, we have to have a cope with energy challenges and the global warming and the power supply and demand. There's lots of ambitious strategy Daikin has. However, I think I want to focus on global warming portion today so that everybody can understand what we're doing for the global warming perspective. This is a topic about refrigerant, as I mentioned earlier. So this is just to recap, what is a refrigerant again? So refrigerant is the gas that is used between indoor and outdoor that transfers the heat. Simultaneously, it is very important for us to minimize this emission, otherwise there is absorption of the temperature for the Earth. So choice of refrigerant is very key and important for the Earth. So Daikin as a company, we have holistic approach and the diversity choice of refrigerant. So as you can see in the middle of the graph, there is 4 different kinds of refrigerant. R32 is some refrigerant, Daikin, has been promoting to the global, but currently R410A, right next to that refrigerant, this is globally using everywhere. On the, right side of, this graph, there's R290. This is propane that may be used for the cooking, but this can be also used for the air conditioning refrigerant. From Daikin perspective, we are making business, but we also want to be environment friendly. So ozone layer protection, economy, safety, and energy efficiency, and the life cycle needs to be well evaluated. So based on this Daikin study, as you can see on the R32, is the most like a balanced, refrigerant we think. So this is why we are promoting this to the global. R32 could potentially reduce GWP, global warming potential, in total by 75%. It is very efficient, and also global warming potential refrigerant is very minimized than current one. So that's a choice, and we are promoting to the global. So we have several strategies for promoting this R32 from environment perspective. So open strategy rulemaking as a support. That's how we achieve to spread R32 worldwide. So Daikin has sold approximately 35 million residential split unit, which is air conditioning, in more than 120 countries and regions. Worldwide, annually 60% or more sales of air conditioning are now R32. That's one of the achievements we did. By doing this, approximately 300 million tons of CO2 could be reduced. This is just as Daikin's our estimate, but that is, I don't think that's not that far. So how do we spread R32 to the global from environment management perspective? What we did is supporting use R32 worldwide. So one of the uniquest challenge and activity we did is Daikin released R32 air conditioning related basic patents with free of charge. So this is a unique strategy we did. So to use R32, there's a lot of technology and we have patented, but we have shared this to the global worldwide with free of charge. So everyone can use that technology and they make a market. So also we supported market development in developing countries. We have worked with government to share what is R32, how efficient it is, and how it's effective for economy. Also, we have worked on the international standard to secure people can design R32 by changing like a ISO or IEC safety standard so that they can design appropriately. Also, we have supported local air conditioning manufacturer We have invited lots of, oversee our competition to our company so that they can learn how to produce R32 product. So it's kind of like open, strategy with it. We did same for the installer and the tech service. There's lots of people installing air conditioning system in the field. They need to know what R32 is, but they may not have a good idea on that. So we have trained lots of people in that way. So I think I'm running out of time. So estimation of CO2 emission. This slide is showing about the a value chain of a production up to the after sales. So CO2 emissions coming from, as you can see on this graph on the right side, this is showing, left side is about raw material obtain and the transportation of employee to produce the air conditioning system. And such people and material came to production in Daikin. We are going to use fuel combustion and use electricity to produce the unit. But as you can see on this two graph, it's only just 1.5% of CO2 emission. So majority of CO2 emission is coming from use of sold product and also disposal. So 90-85% of the emissions coming from here. So we have to focus on minimizing this portion. So just to recap that, this is just showing value chain different way, but those 90-84% and the 80% of it is used from energy source and also refrigerant that is I have explained. So Daikin is continuing to effort to achieve this carbon neutrality by minimizing such a carbon emission. So how do we do that? This is the last slide. Just to recap, we're going to produce more efficient products so that use 98% can be minimized by having better energy efficient products. So that's what we need to do. Also, we have to work solution collaboration with others in the HVAC sector so that we can collaborate actively, minimize that emission. Also, avoided emission is another key. There is still remaining CO2 emission that we have to come up with. So we are going to support the use of such a low GWP refrigerant, not only Daikin, but we are going to share that to our competition as an example. Also, recovery, recyclable refrigerant is a key, and also forest conservation or something like that. Such activities, additional activities required to achieve the net zero. So that's all from my slide. So I'm going to hand this over back to Ms. Saito.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamioka. It's a very interesting presentation with the actual example of the Daikin's original refrigerant. So we wait a further discussion afterwards. So next, we'd like to welcome Ms. Tanyapong Kritikatyawood. I hope I correct your name correctly. She's Executive Director of UN Global Contact Network Thailand, and she will be talking from her own perspectives on this topic. So if you feel ready, the floor is yours.
Yes. Konnichiwa, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm still very happy to learn more from Daikin, the way that we can save the world from the whole HFC to be from the CFC in the past to be the R32, which is a champion of saving the world from the ozone problems. So these are the discussions that in the Global Compact, we are very happy to see how the collaborative between the companies, the regulators, the academia teams to solve some of the problems together. And today we also would like to thank you, Mr. Kamioka, that he put his efforts travel to Thailand to give us a lot of good learnings, and hope that during the panel discussion, he will share more about the perspective of the next problem, like the climate change. When we are targeting to live longer, like in the next 30 years, how living abilities that we should do. Of course, we're gonna live it under air condition. Like outside of Japan, 85% of the population is living with the heat and the hot. So the same thing that the employees of Daikin, 85% are around the world, but they are now also solving another problem, which is a climate change. Not only the heat wave, but we also found the drought, lack of water. And the situation that is coming for the either challenging within their own country, and now we found that the challenge is in the regional as well. Thank you for this time, the UN Global Compact. We got invite from Mr. Hirata-san. Congratulations for your presentation. We are also learning about the relationship with the voting right of the companies who has a subsidiaries in the smaller country, or some other relationship like how can we deploy the environment policy, environment management systems throughout the corporate function. So this very link back with the presentation now. In the UN Global Compact, we are the partner with business sector to really help the companies learn on the way to define their own strategies, their own projects within their own campus. For example, if there are companies that have a corporate outside the country, but they are subsidiary company in some other country, how the subsidiary company, they develop their own policies that implement in their own local context. So I will move on to the presentation deck that might be good to summarize and confirm on the way that his study has mentioned. Thank you, Hirata-san. First of all, on the project that we are thinking together around the world is the link back with the low carbon society, and that we need to aim for another problem solving, which is a carbon neutrality. It's not easy to move into the action. Like we have learned that it's not normal that we live without air conditioning, but it's going to be a new normal, that we need to live without the carbon. So back with the concept of the low carbon society, we think about the issue is not only by the government that try to set the target. It's easy to say that we're gonna achieve some of the target. However, the people who are driving, most of them are industry, who are the producer, who are the polluters, you know. So in the Europe, they also mentioned about the polluter pay price. So how can we link with the economic scale that the carbon tax will help to capture the emission reduction trend? Currently in some countries like Thailand, we don't have the policy on the carbon tax yet. And how could we drive the situation that bring the company to taking care and responsible to eliminate the emission by their own? So it's not easy. So the first thing that we like to mention is about collaborative. Like the ending by Daikin, that seeking for more collaboration, not only by the producer, industry themselves, but through the consumers, the users. No matter or not, they need to adjust the behaviors. We don't want to live with the aircon just only like 25 Celsius, but right now, how can we live sustainable way by increase a little bit temperature, like 26, 27 degrees Celsius, but save the energy. We can reduce the cost of the energy, consume less electricity, for example. So not only the government and the private sector, we are seeing more collaborative across the country now. How can I move on the next slide? Oh, here, thank you. With the carbon neutrality concept, you may be aware that when we calculate the emission reduction, it comes from the greenhouse gas. The greenhouse gas is not only by carbon, there are 7 types of the chemicals. So thinking of the sectors that some of the industries that are not only using the electricity, but they also use some of the material. One of the things that you think of the concept that people may always misunderstood is about recycle. So the mindset of doing business, producing a lot of packaging, producing a lot of things, but we're going to eliminate that waste later. So those are wrongly thought. We need to be sure that once we are the owner of the production, we are owner of the products, we need to ensure that our product will not generate the waste, rather than expecting someone to recycle our own waste, right? So those are the mentality at the beginning, that how can we design the business to ensure that the producer and the consumer, they help each other to understand and align on the direction that we can have a clearer waste elimination concept and zero waste mindset. There was a CO study last year, UN Global Compact. We are having a partnership with the study team from the Accenture. Around the world, more than 2,600 CEOs, we had achieved the study with across the industry, at least 18 industries that has reporting out which are the challenging that they have faced. Top 5 challenging that we are aware, it might be the same situation of the company, and I hope that some people from the online, you may came from academics or you may come from the business sector, might have the same situation. The first one, we found the concern on economics related to the inflation and the price variation. Volatility is meaning that sometimes we are pledged with the target, for example, on the exchange rate. And apologies that we had sorry about the yen fluctuation, the Japanese yen fluctuation, and also Thai baht fluctuation. Sometimes we cannot pledge for longer than 6 months because those fluctuations may all hit hardly to the export products. The second one on talent scarcity. Under the sustainability agenda, we consider that the talent doesn't mean that people are very well experienced on the discipline, but we need to have a people who have a good mindset to take care of other people. For example, even they drive the policy, they drive the performance in their own business, but how we have people who have a good mindset on caring the society and caring environment. So those are the key challenges that we are lack of that people around the world. The second thing about the public health, the challenge that we found in Thailand is about pollution of air, but in the real thing, around the world, we have the pollution in the ocean, already have the acidity across the ocean around the world. So it threatens the public health. For example, when we eat the seafood, we also face that some of the contaminant of the water throughout the ocean around the world, not only in the Asia Pacific. We had found that there are microbeads in the fish or some of the contaminants in the fish or in the seafood products. So those are affect either air in terms of pollution or some of the food nutrition. And the last two area is somehow we may already aware of climate change. The situation getting drought in Southeast Asia is coming in the next month. As you may have seen that the prediction, some country like Indonesia already has announced how the companies change the business because they could not produce the agriculture food as the same from the last year because of lack of water. They need to change the types of the agriculture this year. And moving on, series of the El Nino is coming 3 consecutive years starting next month. So the forecast of coming drought is also impact to the productivity of the business. So you can imagine not only from the industrial sector that relate to the food agriculture, but it also relate to the electric appliance, and including the technical on the shift, memory shift. Like in Taiwan, there was some of the announcement about ensuring that they have a sufficient of water for the process to cooling down the system. So the water scarcity is not only happen for the food, it's also impact other industrial now. So by doing this prediction and analysis is a business risk. It's a concern of how they can run the business for the long term. So based on our study of that 2,600 CEO, 98% that are aware about the essential role of supporting the sustainability in their agenda. So in the government sector and investor, I hope that from the listener online, you may be academia team, you can learn from this graph about the trend of getting more governments that influence on the sustainability. So the increasing trend is above 50% now that the investor and the company who have aware of this rising from the past 2 to 3 years. With the solution in the Global Compact, we are the partner of the business to find out what should be the activity to build the true resilience together. So recovery from the COVID-19, many of the industry like the hospitality business, hotel business, they also struggle, like they had built a facility, but they have no tourists coming. Even in the country like Thailand, we expect a lot more tourism to come, but they are not yet achieving the target. So what we are thinking now is part of the study. So reflecting of this trend, I'd like to highlight more further on the trend that we summarized that are going to be a 5 trend. Since we may not have much time, you can scan the QR code on the reporting of this year. the Sustainable Development Goals mega trend, there are 5 areas of the learning. The first one on the lack of biodiversity or is disrupt in the way of capital of business. Many of the learning, we consider the investment is based on the money. But around the world, we are now learning that investment is based on the availability of the natural. If you like to invest more but lack of natural, is no way to find the new material for that production like the phone. Even the phone or even the PV, the solar cell is required the rare earth. And the prediction of the UN is by the end of year 2030, the rare earth is diminishing. So you can imagine even we're gonna buy the new phone, it may be very expensive because of rare earth scarcity. So that's only 1 or 2 examples that link back with the biodiversity. It should be an evaluation of the investments on how could you invest in the nature, and that's a cost of capital investment. Second part is the finance. We leverage the taxonomy. In Thailand, Bank of Thailand just has announced the green taxonomy that relate to the energy and the transportation. Number 3, on the trends of the sustainable development of business, that we need to retain the good business with the supply chain management. However, with the decouple of the political issues, we know that some of the supply chain has interrupted. They don't want to import product from other countries, including raw material importing. Even Taiwan, we know in Thailand, we had import many of the raw material from Taiwan. But since there are some struggle of the transportation, shipping the boats around the ocean, we are pending to receive the material from Taiwan 2 to 3 months in the last year. So there are the concern of how can we secure the raw material production within the domestic. So this trend is coming that as the same region, how can we hope and utilize the material within the domestic? And of course, without the transportation and the freight, it would help to reduce the cost of logistics and less usage of the greenhouse gas. Number 4 is a trend of the job. Hope that if you are having a good learning on environment, so if you have an aspect of how can we preserve and reserve the environment, that would help you to bring another good job we call green job in the workforce. Now, the pay price, the cost of this job is getting higher, so we can help your study if you are considering eco-friendly business, for example, like Daikin, eco-friendly business in the industry. So those kind of products, those kind of service will getting higher pay. So back to the engineering, back into the design team, business developer, if those people have a very clear discipline on how can they help and be eco-friendly, your job is getting higher pay as well. And last one, on the circular of economy, not only renewable energy, but we think about how can we use the renewable but cleaner energies like hydrogen. It's not easy to find the green hydrogen in the world because it's not nature. In the world, there are blue hydrogen, that's a byproduct of the petroleum and the refinery process. Now the green hydrogen is getting very new technology. We are getting learning like Toyota that have a concept of getting the green hydrogen in the car as a fuel. So back to Thailand and the PTT, the company who has produced a lot of petroleum, they're able to trap the hydrogen from the process. However, remove the carbon from the pipeline. So it's a good learning that luckily, if we have a production process that relates to hydrogen, we can trap some of the energy into the pipeline and it can be used as a consumption for the cars. We hope that the hydrogen will have no any emission because they have no any carbon. So in Thailand, we get 99% carbon-free hydrogen. Succeed in the pilot at Maptaput. It's coming soon. However, the scale of the business is not yet scaled up. That we can fuel the cars. In the future, it might be another idea of the good transporter, like the trucks and the train. If they can change from the diesel to the hydrogen train, that's gonna save a lot of energy and also back to the carbon neutrality concept. Last but not least, we think that when we have a go green and the global trend, This summary will also reflect the speaker at the beginning that once you set up the target to examine whether or not it's low carbon, so it's gonna be a new concept that consumer, they know you. For example, if you're gonna buy the new product, the consumer consider a lot whether or not this product will be durable and whether this product will save energy and whether or not they generate another carbon. So global trend in Europe is already put up the requirement in the regulation that for the corporate responsibility, you have to take care for the whole supply chain. So they set up last month on the due diligence of the corporate responsibility of the carbon. So to ensuring that if you are the supply chain of the European EU, how can you remain the sustain of the supply chain of the EU with the low carbon concept? And recently, with the Japanese government also announced about the due diligence on the corporate in outside country, outside Japan, to be also more and higher responsible to the human rights. So we also have seen this trend is coming to be a good pressure. We would like to say it's a very positive good pressure. And luckily, if we're going to have a new government in the country like Thailand, we should also adopt the same direction from EU and Japan to ensuring that in business in Thailand, we're going to have a higher responsible for both environment and social. Yeah, thank you. This is a summarize that we hope that we're going to be linked back to your panel next. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tanya, for the wonderful presentation. So we will move to the panel discussion straightwards, and please wait for a while we invite all the panelists on stage. We will start the panel discussion right away. I move. Thank you for waiting. Now we're going to start the panel discussion, and it's a wonderful presentation, so I will very briefly summarize each presentation to kind of remind your memory. So Mr. Hirata firstly introduces research focusing on ISO, its background and trends in ASEAN. And he conducted the original survey to Japanese subsidiaries in Thailand. What's the internal factors, parent-subsidiaries relationship, and what are the motives, advantage, and barriers of ISO? Okay. So TBI, do we need to summarize as well? Okay, under the BCG model, we could deepen our understanding of the nationwide activities and its investment promotion strategies. Depending on sectors depending on the sectors, agriculture, tourism, operations, and petrol, there are several incentives like tax incentives. After the Thai examples, we could listen from Daikin industry, the actual implementation of the refrigerant, and the company's environment. Daikin's working very hard balance affordable AC and against natural disaster CO2 emissions. And with the implementation for R32, they released some patent worldwide to contribute to the global issues. Last but not least, from UN Global Compact Network Thailand, she pointed out a very important perspective. We need to think about mindset of both producers and consumers, especially the chart highlighted some of the challenges by CEOs because many of the issues are complex issues are interrelated. Biodiversity, how to balance with the natural resources, supply chain, job and workforce. So that's what we have learned so far. And we're gonna move to some questions. I will ask you, each of you, a basic questions, starting from the challenges and how to solve the potential challenges. And then after these questions, the series of questions, we're gonna move on to the recommendation for the future, okay? So I'm gonna first ask to you. Okay, here are just, through your research or literature review, what do you think is the challenges about the environmental management in Thailand? And how you think you can promote environment management from academia side?
Thank you for the title, San. And yeah, from the academian side, at first, so in the general discussion, what is the environmental management? So in my case, and some literature are focusing on the ISO 14001 as a proxy of the environmental management. However, as I through my research, so the definition of the ISO, definition of the environmental management will more discussed in the academia. It's necessary to do that. And then in the Thailand case, yes, what is the challenges for the environment management? At first, so there are a few literature for the ISO certification in Thailand case. Then, yeah, some of the professor in the Chula knows that the Ajahn Kanita research the ISO 14001 before. However, in the Thailand case, there are few literature about that. So from the academian side, I think it will be more contact for the industries, and then so collecting data and more some analyze for the ISO certification. On the other, so in addition to that, so within the ASEAN, so the Vietnam and the other countries is booming about this research, I think. So compared to that, it's not necessary to compare, but in the Thailand context, so it would be better to more focusing on the ISO in the future, in now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hirata-san. So maybe we could first ask Kamioka-san from the perspective of global companies like Daikin. What are the challenges or problems when a big company conduct environment management in developing countries, and how your company is trying to solve some problems? I think you've already introduced some problems, but if you could elaborate further.
Yep, thank you for the question, for a great question. So for such emerging countries, as I mentioned in some of the slide, it is very important. People want to use more air conditioning in such an emerging country, but only 8% of people does their own air conditioning. So there's a big demand increase in such emerging countries. So as a Daikin, we are producing HVAC system as a global company, so we have to focus on that. Otherwise, if we don't resolve the issue by such huge demand of power consumption, there is no growth in our perspective, company perspective as well. So we have big responsibility to achieve that. So our aim is to minimize power consumption or maybe emission of the gas by having better energy efficiency for such countries. And also affordability is another key perspective. I think Tanya has mentioned, and everybody's aware that everybody needs to be obtain air conditioning with affordable price. So that is our challenge, our aim that we need to combat right now with current situation. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's my feedback.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. Last but not least, I think you have a bigger perspective from Global Compound Network Thailand. From the bigger perspective, what do you think are the challenges, obstacles to move forward environment management in Thailand?
Starting from the challenge, of course, we think about the company itself. Most of them, if like to do the ISO 14000, or let's say if they like to implement some of the project to improve the environment aspect, those are the costs. If those are the costs, it cannot evaluate the outcome for the benefit of the company may not do. But in reality, the cost of the protection of the environment is better than the investment to solve the problem, like the pollutions. So back to the situation like Daikin, the cost of the improving their own efficiency is the right to operate. It's a license to operate the company. For example, if the company A produce the air condition with the CFC, they don't have R32. Nobody will buy that air condition from the company A because they know that the chlorofluorocarbon are problem with the ozone, and they don't want to live under the cancer because of the ozone. So back to this, the company have to predict themselves whether or not it's a cost to operate or it's an opportunity to sell the products, right? So back to the challenges in Thailand, most of the industry and the company still don't care because they're concerned about the cost, rather than consider it's the right to operate or the opportunity to do better. So if the company, they have a change on the mindset of thinking, whether or not they like to invest on the ISO 4001, by caring more, they would like to be sure that they improve the machine efficiency with the lower of the cost of the expense. And another way of, if the product is good, efficiency, durable for the consumer, so the consumer will be also pay less price for the electricity. That would help to promote the products for the longer term. But even better to ensuring that the business is sustainable for the long run. So now moving to the solution, not only the challenging parts. So in the Thai business or subsidiary business, they also consider that the regulation is one of the solutions. Without the regulation, they don't care. So the solution in Thailand, I think 20 years ago, we just introduced the concept of getting the green industry. But back about only 10 years ago that they had the industry level, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. If you are achieving the ISO 4001, you can aim the Green Industrial Award, level 1 and 2. But beyond that, you have to reduce the carbon emission or footprint. If you can reduce 10 or 20%, you can achieve another level of the Green Industrial Award. So this is the scheme of the promotion of the Industrial Green Factory, Green Ecosystem Award. It helped to promote the company like that with the less of the investment. So the BOI play another good role on the tax exempt, duty drawback, and the incentive. For example, when the company import the new machine, which is a safe environment machine, either produced with less pollution or using a consumption of less electricity, the import of those machines may be a duty drawback. So they can have an exemption tax. So with this kind of sponsorship, policy development, it helps the company find the solution or find the process that how can they get the investment further. And last but not least, we had learned about the local competitiveness. So back to the concept of how the consumer would like to buy the new products. The new generation, like I think they have a research of 1/3 of the new generation, they care about their future. They know that if they are not really support the company who are care the environment, themselves will be hit hardly in the future because of the pollution. So now it's a pressure together with the regulation. Hopefully that if Thailand, we're gonna have the act on the clean air very soon, or the act talk about the conservative of biodiversity in the next few years. And we hope that that another regulation in Thailand on the carbon tax is coming in the next 3 years. It's gonna change a lot of macroeconomic in Thailand, that the investor and the company will not only care their own cost, but they will care about the future of business, whether or not they have the right to operate. Because the regulation is very, very much challenged. If they are not changed, they will not able to operate. Otherwise, nobody will buy the product anyway. So this is going to be a new solution that will help. I hope that the regulation will play a new role in Thailand soon.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting, and I'm wondering how you kind of convince the CEO. I think they care about, environment, also other issues, but how do you, you talk with the tax exemptions or incentives or regulations to the CEO, or how do you kind of try to support?
So back to that BOI concept, it's not the CEO level, but it's a national agenda level. Back to the concept of biocircular green, when the company seeking out for the option, the governments have to brainstorm what should be the policy that help in bring the incentive to the investor, to the bank, and to the company. Then the BOI opened the first scheme that 8 years of the exemption tax for the biocircular green machine, for example. So those gonna help a lot if you are the advocate to the policy development and also advocate to the person who are the regulators.
So do you have urgent questions, or do you want to comment on each other's comment?
Yeah, thank you for Contania. And yeah, from the academic side, so the new concepts such as the CSV, creating social value concept. So that concept is so through the commodity or through the business, and then so to make a benefit and to protect the environment. So this will be more connect to the from the academic side and business side in the future. Yeah, so this is one of the connection point, I think.
Okay, so we're going to move to discuss further recommendations for the future. Maybe starting from, I think, from our industry side, okay, to Daikin industry. What do you think is necessary to promote environmental management in Thailand? Maybe you can propose something like internal resources or local regulations or others? Can you share your ideas and the recommendations?
I think I have issues with my microphone. Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, thank you for a great question. So regarding to Thailand, maybe I'm not talking just about Thailand, but it's more about global companies and countries everywhere. But I think this was already summarized by Tanya. You know, she did eye-opening presentation today, and I completely agree with her. But working alone, like a company, you know, they always think about their benefit by their own, but I think that's not the right direction moving forward. Collaboration right now is very important. So in case of Daikin, so we have, as I mentioned in one of the presentation, there is open rulemaking for the R32 patent. That aim is to collaborate with our competition to make the market. So we wanted to expand our market by sharing that information so that they can make more product in the market, and so that product can be more affordable because the amount of unit. So that's how we did. And this is also mentioned by Tanya and everyone from the panelists today. But working with government is also important. So by doing that, there should be some win-win situation between industries and the government. They want to sell. We want to sell more product. Want to get benefit, but we also want to be more environment. That kind of strategy, same goal. I think we need to look for that. So maybe just to conclude my comment, but I completely agree with Tanya today, and we have to collaborate together to aim that environment management. So not only working as alone, but work with other competition, even for competition or maybe government. I think that's a key aspect from that.
Thank you very much, Kamil-san. So how about Tanya-san? What do you recommend to the companies in Thailand to contribute to the sustainable society in terms of environmental management? Can you share your ideas?
Yeah, it starts from the collaboration, but how can we get the collaboration from the people who don't have the good mindset is difficult. So starting from individual, I think if we can talk with any of the company CEOs, or you are the person who you can influence to your own families, then we need to start from individual. Whomever I meet, whomever I will meet in the future, we hope that we can help each other to have a better understanding, not only from the business itself. I think about the financial institutes, the bankers, the investor, to invest to the company who are caring to the environment. So back to the situation in Thailand and outside country, there are the trend of the carbon removal trend, but they had a lot of misunderstanding on how to do the carbon removal. They thought about the carbon credit that predicts about the situation that they can absorb the carbon. But in the theory, those are being calculated, but it's not true. We are not able to capture the carbon from the air. But how can we do that? So I think we need to have an individual to learn on at least from the graph, avoid your graph or Hirata-san graph about avoid the situation of being a polluter. The second, after avoid, we need to be sure that we are ensuring of release less pollution, on ensuring that our product will deliver better on the carbon footprint, on using less water, using less materials, or even in the past, we are not the polluter yet. So I have found one of the good solutions around the world from England, UK. They have a government announced of ETS. It's an emission trading scheme. So I don't think that one company can drive by their own. We need to think for the whole industry. So the ETS is a scheme for the whole industry. They had divided sector by sector on the polluter pay price. If you are running the same business in the same sector, you have a carbon footprint together in the whole. If any company, you are the big polluter, you have to pay tax. For example, if you are a producer of the carbon beyond the 25,000 tons a year, you have to pay tax. But in the same time, if one of the company being a good business, which is have less polluter, so they can earn some benefit of doing good things. So the ETS is a cap and trade on that carbon emission, that in the same time they promote and support the investor to invest in the company like that who are ensuring that they are responsible. At the same time, they are giving the penalty to the big polluter to pay the price of that problems. So this ETS, emission trading scheme, is very well established in many countries. Luckily, there are one in Japan. I have heard that like in Kyoto, there was a pilot in the world beside the UK and the California. Maybe we have to check which city in Japan that already developed the ETS scheme. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonia-san. That's a very good point, the collaboration across sectors and to kind of change the mindset together. And I think one of the most important purpose of this event to deepen understanding from the position from academia, also industry, government side, also international organizations. But I think this is a good chance to get to know each other. And I'm also working for the international collaborations from Kyoto University, and learning from the Thai side very much that Thailand has a very strong bond from the government, academia, industry side. And from our side, from research administration side at Kyoto University, we are trying to bridge academia, industry, also government side, but it's a very difficult task to do so. Maybe for many reasons like cultural or kind of social reasons. But today I could learn a lot from Thai side. So Hirata-san, maybe you can find some last words, your recommendation from academic side, please.
Thank you so much, Saito-san. So, yes, it's difficult to recommend for like recommendation from the academic side, right? Because academia is sometimes not very not close to the industry and the government side. So. Yeah, then first recommendation is to the conversation between among the industries and the government side and then academian side. Yeah, because I think we will discuss the evidence-based discussion within on the campus. However, sometimes we cannot, we don't see the real world sometimes. So through the discussion among the other stakeholders and other perspectives, so we can more improve our evidence-based recommendations. So this is the first point. Then second point is the conversation between the manager and the employees, the conversation among within the companies, I think. So I'm really sorry from the academia side, but for example, within the company, so the business department and thinking about the human resources and thinking about the CSR, for the Kamioka-san as well. So one recommendation is more discuss between among the companies, and then more changing the awareness for by the all employees, I think, and it's the same for the university and for the academia as well. But conversation is very important point, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So for the sake of time, we're going to now close the panel discussion once and move on to some questions from the floor. There are some questions in the chat box. So, if you want to ask questions, please raise your hand or just type your questions into the Q&A box and we'll answer one by one, okay? Okay, then we will first, I'll take the questions from the floor. Can you please declare which questions to which panelists? Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. It was a very wonderful panel we have today. So I'm new to Thailand and to Japan, and also I'm from academia. So my question, I think maybe relates to Rio, maybe because you worked on this, focusing mostly on Japanese subsidiaries in Thailand. So I was wondering, and I heard from Daikin and the Japanese company, how it is kind of become more sustainable. So my question is, you looked at, different aspects, external and internal, and how voting rights and parent and subsidiary relationship affects, adoption of sustainability standards, right? So my question is it more for Japanese companies in Thailand are more sustainable, or compared to other companies? You mentioned European companies. Is it because I visited Japan last week and came back, and I hear about forest conservation and things like that, and I could see is it more Japanese culture you are getting, or is it like other companies, European companies here, or US companies? I am from the United States, are doing it. Are you the leader in this effort, or everyone else is doing the same thing? So anyone can answer, but if you could answer your thoughts on this, that would be good. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Then, yeah, as you said, that the European company and the US is more the high level awareness of the sustainable development and the environmental protection. Yeah. However, yeah, Japanese is also increased awareness now, but there is relatively lower than other European country, I think. Then in my study, I focusing on from the 2017 to 2020, but so in the Japanese context, so yeah, there is a big changes about the corporate governance within the Tokyo Stock Exchanges. Then maybe in the 2021, so the corporate governance code was changed and then revised. Then the independent directors and yeah, female diversity is have to appointment from the outsider. Yeah, not all, but high standard market, in the high standard market, so this is a requirement. So I think, yeah, in the future, so we more research about that, and then the result will, might be or maybe change in the future, in the context of the future, in the future, yeah.
Who's first?
Which of you?
So in case of Daikin, I don't know if I clearly answer your question, because I'm from Japanese company origin, which is Daikin, and we have expanded our more business to the global. But in my case, since it's a Japanese company, we're the only one. I don't want to say we're the only one, but Japanese, my top management was really like enhancing their employees to obtain ISO standard to cope with that. We have started from there, and then we have expanded up, business to the United States, and we have acquired Goodman. There's a huge HVAC company there. I don't think, if I remember correctly, there's ISO their requirement there. So maybe from my perspective from Japan, we have expanded our business from Japan, and we have huge growth in Japan. We have started to expand our business in the United States. At that case, we kind of like shared our policy to such a US company we acquired, so that they have started to change their mind to cope with ISO standard. But since I was a design engineer back in the past, I was feeling there's lots of difficulty during the ISO audit. Like there's a internal audit, and lots of people need to cope with that. So there's lots of difficulty on that perspective. So yeah, I do understand the difficulty, unless there is a big pressure from management. So I kind of understand that what Hirata-san presented today. But that's Japanese company perspective. I don't know if that clearly answers the question. Not comparison apple to apple, but in case of Japanese company, that is a way I think in general.
Yeah, may I back to the history of ISO standards, the way of setting up 30 years ago, because of the pain point in Europe, which they have too much of the issues and scarcity of the material. So ISO has set up as an international standard, but only Europe that had adopted at the beginning. So later, if any company would like to run the business worldwide, they need to seek out for which are the parity of the standard. Since then, they don't have any others besides the ISO yet. So ISO was the first one that people had agreed as a common way of working on business. So back to the US, they also don't believe in Europe standard. They have their own environment management scheme, but we will not touch today. So in Asia Pacific, we are learning together of being the good producer. Basically, in the factory in Asia, we are the producer for international company like from Japan and Europe. That's why the local business have to comply. No matter it's an ISO 9000, 14,000, or 500 something, 5,000 something in the environment circularities. So I'll keep it short. With the situation of the global direction, we need a license to operate. Without any agreement, for example, the CBAM agreement, cross-border agreement, and even in the due diligence of the Japanese subsidiary and the policy from the government, we could not run the business. So to get that license, we need to have some standard as a backup. Back to local Thailand, they have very minimum requirements on how can they comply with the regulation. Even Thailand, we don't have our local standard, so we adopt the ISO. And if we export the product to Europe, we adopt the EU standard. Basically, there are many areas beside the ISO. Around the world, there are 600 standards available, but only ISO is very common use and worldwide use. So since the environment impact is now universal issues, we don't care now about which country gonna buy anything from which country, but we care about our future. So in the aspect I like to turn around situation is not the global direction anymore, but it's our own consumer pressure. They demand further about how they're gonna support the business that care their own future. So this gonna be a new trend. 1/3 of the new generations is already demand a good business, which eco-friendly. You can see that many of the cars, the branding is not luxury anymore. The car branding is eco-friendly. No matter it's a big, huge sport car, but they also mention about the biodiesel engine or even the hydrogen engines. It's combustible? No, but it's a hydrogen, it's an emission-free engine. So I found that currently the pressure is moving a little bit from the regulation, moving forward from the industrial standard to be the individual demanding of the consumer. And that's going to be a very good trend. I hope it's going to be very positive for the future.
Thank you very much for the additional comments. So we're going to move on to the question in the chat box from Dimitri Sensei to Hirata-san. We're going to speak up. Is it necessary for the small companies to adopt ISO 14012? If yes, can the Thai government or the Japanese parent company give some financial support to the small companies so that they can adopt ISO?
Thank you for the questions. Yes or no? Yes, I think. Yeah, then ISO is one of the standard and one of the proxy in my research, but so this is the ISO is, if the company get the ISO, the company can make clear what they have to do and what is the program within the company, and then so how to change something. So if the company can get the ISO, so yeah, it is necessary for that. Then the incentive or the financial support. So yeah, the ISO is one of the audit by the third party, so it's unrealistic to support by the government to get cost, get ISO's cost, I think. But yeah, one possibility is the support by the parent company or other big shareholders. Is not, but yeah. Buy the stock or something like that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So another question from the Q&A box from Khun Fedor Misoatov. A question to the two panelists here. I'm going to speak up. How your respective organization can collaborate with each other on environmental management in Thailand to help solve issues that were discussed today. For example, climate change, SDGs, promotion of more energy-friendly cooling refrigerant. For example, how can Daikin benefit from collaboration with UN Global Compact? How can Thailand BOI cooperate with Daikin to promote sustainable business in Thailand? Thank you very much.
I can start first.
I found that there are many of the collaboration track that possible. Like when we talk with BOI, they don't care about size of business. They just care about what does it mean to the business and how. For example, importing the material or the engine that could help running less energy, like biocircular green. So with the collaboration with the BOI Global Compact, we developed the capacity building by training 1,000 companies, SMEs in Thailand, and hope some of those are the company working with Daikin to learn about the new business model, how the corporate and the company operate their business with less use of the material. So we provide the training. We are the capacity builder for those 1,000 companies on biocircular green economies. And in the same time, we help the management like MD, business developer, designer, and engineering to learn how they can define the process. To solve the issue is not only producing the new products, it's also considering that how can they change the way of their use and consume the material. So the environment aspect of ISO is so basic, I would like to say that. I also with the respect of ISO, but ISO is very, very minimum requirements of accountabilities. But in Thailand, we also need to know that if beyond the accountability, anything else. So link back with the collaboration. So BOI is very good example that they are collaborate with all type of business, regardless size of business. And the UN Global Compact, we are the capacity builder. So we also would like to support your supply chain, your companies, and if you are the SME, it's going to be even more benefit that we can provide the coaching and training to those companies. So I think, but at the end, if we're going to have a collaboration, you just ask what you want to do, and then we will find a solution with you.
Yep. From industry perspective, as you imagine from my presentation, I'm very specialist about the HVAC sector, but as Tanya mentioned, there's a lot of stakeholder in the other sector that is working right now. So I guess how do we efficiently collaborate together with partners today is maybe from my end, I'd like to learn a lot about what is going on in different sector, what is their curiosity is. I'd like to learn more about the regulation that is occurring to different sector, or maybe let's say incentive. Like our perspective, we know we have a good vision about HVAC, how it's going to be look like, but maybe we want to learn from the maybe partners today about what is happening, what kind of regulation happening, what is government direction, incentive. By learning that, I think we can efficiently collaborate together to come up with the environment management solution. So I want to make it short, but that's my comment.
So,
Please.
just a quick question. I'm from IFRC, Asia Pacific, but I'm based in Bangkok. So what are your opinions on how environmental nonprofit organizations like the World Wildlife Fund is doing or advocating for environmental policies or environmental management among in the region? Like, do you think they are doing enough work, or what are the gaps and needs that are currently existing? So just anybody welcome to provide response. Thank you, Kai.
I'm not really here well, but I think about the organization, which is business associations, or the area of the financial institute. Right now, they are even have a lot of commitments to change their investment scheme. Not only on the foreign investments in Thailand, they also develop the framework of how the investors would like to monitor the impact of the money, not only by the generating the business benefit, prosperity, but they think about the net impact. They call the nature impact or the environment impact from the money as well. So with the government pension fund and the investor in Thailand, they already have developed the performance dashboard KPI to evaluate how much of the money that had invested and turn out into the environment, social, and governance impact. So with the ESG dashboard, it's a cycle of the investment as well. For the company who has doing good on the environment, social, and governance, we had learned that they have a better performance, and even investor, they also would like to invest more for those. So with this kind of the cycle generating, even during the COVID, we had report from the year 2021 of net performance is about 10% better versus the company who have not care about the ESG, environment, social, governance. The company who do care, they are better performers.
Thank you very much. So unfortunately, time is running out. For other kind of follow-up questions and comments, we will stay a little longer so we can talk with each other to deepen our mutual understanding and consensus for further recommendations. Okay, we would like to thank very much for all the participants on site, also online, for participating in this event, Social Implementation Research on Environmental Management of Japanese Subsidiaries in Thailand. This is going to be part of Mr. Hirata's research work. So he will be sending us some questionnaires to the participants. Please kindly fill out your feedback so that he can follow up. Thank you very much for your joining this event today. And we again thank you very much for all the speakers from distinguished organization. Thank you very much, and sawadee ka.